Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast, adding games both new and old to your backlog, one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name is Christian, and guys, I'm a hexagon. Joining me today is Taylor.
I am now a devout follower of Hashut.
And Bobby.
And I forgot a quip.
Hey, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes you forget.
Where's that in our checklist?
Yeah. What a little forgetty spaghetti, Bobby. Wow.
You know, the forgotten quip got the biggest laugh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But you can only use it once. It's just going to be diminishing returns after that. So
yeah, so don't fuck it up.
Next
again,
week, I'm
Bobby.
coming in hard with the quip, guys.
Oh my God, he's going to have a hard quip. Dirty. Okay, this week we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VI. That's the sixth one. Total War Warhammer 3. That's the third one. And Let Them Trade. No sequels or prequels to have a number yet, but we'll see. But first, Bobby, what's new?
Well, I'll tell you what's new. Pigs have flown, hell is frozen over, and I am in the market for a Steam Deck. I need something to game in the bedroom. And honestly, I don't want to build another computer. It's got to be something that can use a controller. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get a console. So the obvious answer here is a Steam Deck. Yeah. Not necessarily for the handheld, but to hook up to the TV.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking at the options here. I'm pricing it out. But my real question is, does a Steam Deck, can it handle like 4K? If you hook it up to a TV, can it handle 4K? And can it run even games that are not very well optimized? I'm specifically talking about Slime Rancher. Like, do you think it can run that?
I don't have a Steam Deck, but
I thought you were going to talk about like The Last of Us. Can it handle, guys, get this, Slime Rancher?
You know, you laugh, but that game is really Slime Rancher 2 as well, runs worse than these AAA games. These AAA games, they're very well made. They are demanding, but like I'm getting so tired of these games that are poorly optimized. I'm just like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, come on. This is not like graphically, this is not really that intense. So I don't understand what the problem is. That
Shire game that just came out, Rianne was looking forward to for a long time to play while she's on mat leave. And Tales of the Shire, that's like the Animal Crossing-ish one set in Lord of the Rings universe. And for some reason, this game needs Bobby's fucking server room to run properly. It needs all 3,000 gigabytes of RAM. It's so poorly optimized on the Steam Deck that the Steam Deck, for the first time of any game, and I've played Death Stranding on the Steam Deck at almost max graphics, right? Handheld. It's whirring. I know it's working hard, but for Tales of the Shire, the Steam Deck just shut off. It was like overheated, shut off. I was like, what? How is this possible? The graphics are not that good.
Sauron got to it.
He's watching us. This is the fourth age of Middle Earth. I keep forgetting this happens in our timeline. Yeah.
Shouldn't have looked in the Palantir.
Yeah. But what you can do, Bobby, and what Rihanna has done, and everyone, I think, will give you this advice, is to stream the game from your computer. Let the Steam Deck handle the display to the TV, which I think it should be able to do pretty effortlessly. And let your computer handle the rendering of the hardware for those weird games like Slime Rancher and Tales of the Shire.
And so my question still stands, though. Can a Steam Deck handle that? Because you can do that with Steam Link or the Steam app on any Android device, but it just does not work very well.
Well, the latency is for when you're using like the Steam Link.
Yeah, and obviously that's going to depend on your network too. I mean, I got like 2 gigs running through the walls here, so I'm pretty good on that.
He's bringing down the government. What is he doing? It's crazy.
But yeah. I don't know, man. I want a good experience, and I'm worried because my experience with the Switch was once I hooked it up to the big screen, it ran okay, but it looked terrible. Like I could tell they knocked down the graphics. Now, in my little bit of research, I have noticed that on the Steam page, it'll say Steam Deck verified, which I think is an indicator that this is going to run well and that you're okay to play it on a Steam Deck. But there's also a website I found called protondb.com that it's got a more granular rating system. Like it'll say verified, playable, or just unsupported. It kind of gives it a rating from like, I don't know, 0 to 100%. So, and Proton is something else. Like it's loosely related to the Steam Deck, but it's like running Steam on Linux or something like that. But I don't know. I don't want to get a console. I want to have access to all the games that I already have on Steam, but I also just want it to perform well. So
dude, I was playing with Taylor and Amanda Civ 7 multiplayer on Max Graphics stream from my computer with the Steam Deck running the streaming, and on my TV it looked wonderful and great. And I don't think, if I remember correctly, that there was any like networking issues with that, or it didn't feel laggy. I've also played Crusader Kings 3 the same way. Very intense game, lots going on, and no lag at all on the Steam Deck stream to my TV. Like effort.
Can
like,
you hook a Steam Deck?
No input lag at all.
To Ethernet?
Well, you can get the dock for like $80 or $90.
Yeah, I have the
that
dock.
allows you to plug in everything.
Yeah. But Bobby, I think real Birdwalk, the Steam Deck thing, let's leave it on the side now. Now that Hell is Frozen Over, what else is on the menu for about? Are you going to watch Andor all 2 seasons? Like, what else can we get you to do? Like, this is breaking some ice. Maybe we can, I don't know. Are you going to have some unhealthy candy? I don't know. What's on the menu? What could happen?
Candy? Gonna bust into a whole bag of Sour Patch Kids?
He's just fiending in the corner on the kids. Okay, Taylor, what's new?
I made it to the Steel era in Dune Awakening. I've been slowly plugging away at that, and I'm working on building a buggy. So that's exciting for me. I'm wondering, are people in the community still playing? Because every time I log on, it's just me on there right now.
Oh, sad. Yeah, and I think Dune has had a pretty steep drop off once people got to the deep desert, because the PvP wasn't as robust as other people, or as was made out to be. That's not accurate. Made out to be. It was just disappointing for a lot of people, and that was like the end game content. So,
did you make it to the deep desert?
I did not make it to the deep desert, no, but I made it pretty far in the game. After the base, after Steel, I made after the buggy. So I'm fairly progressed in the story, and it's always itching in the back of my mind, like sand, I guess. But I am not playing it. I have to confess, I am no longer playing Dune
That's
Awakening.
Fair. It's a big time sink.
Yeah, but I don't regret purchasing it or playing it while everyone else was playing it. I think that was a pretty cool experience, and it was a well-made game. And I don't know if the deep desert thing factors into my mind, like subconsciously, dude. Like, because it was around that whole drama coming out where it's like, oh, the end game isn't fun. All these players are griefers. And when that started to be the narrative, I kind of like benched the game and didn't go.
Yeah.
And that's probably
it's
not
a classic
fair.
Story, though. Like, we went through this as a community with New World, too. Like when New World came out, and the community got big into that. But then the PvP side of New World was all kind of like not great. And the end game was not great. And the community dropped off of it. And there was like complaints about griefing and all of that too.
Yeah, maybe it would be cool to go back to New World before the year is over. I know they've had so many DLCs, and maybe they've addressed...
They've rebranded it.
Oh, does it have a new name?
It has a subtitle now. I forget what it is. It's like New World, like Aeternum or something like that.
Yeah, because I think I have a max level character, and I knew before you could transfer skill points, or there was a way so that progress wasn't lost. So I think ideally I would be waking up at whatever the DLC content is and be ready to tackle that. That could be fun. Is there anything else new, Taylor?
Just the continuing drama around like payment processors and the gaming storefronts like Steam and itch.io. Last time I was on, I talked about Steam, and this since then itch.io also got hit with the payment processor restrictions of needing to like delist a bunch of games, and they kind of did it like just like with no warning. So there was a bit more drama around that, especially because itch really caters to like solo developers and indie developers who might rely on that as like the only place they have their game. And like losing access to your income from that is a lot more surprising than it would have been like getting delisted on Steam.
I think people would expect Steam and never itch, and it blindsided, at least from what I've seen on Reddit. That was people being like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. But then I also saw you post in Discord that GOG, our good friends from Poland, had a bundle to celebrate.
It was the Freedom to Buy bundle.
Right. Okay.
Where they gave, it was a free code to give away a bunch, like, I don't know, it was like 10 games.
Right.
And most of them were porn games because that's what the whole controversy is around in the first place.
Yeah.
But there was a couple legit games in there too, like Postal 1 and 2 and
Agony was in
there. So I love that they're kind of trolling.
Or is it a troll or is it a smart branding? Because if itch isn't the place you can put your game, maybe the place is now GOG. Maybe it's
going to be good old and new games.
And porn. GOPG. Good old porn games. Okay. Well, that's fun. Guys, I am finishing Game of Thrones: A Dance with Dragons. This is the last book out in the Game of Thrones universe. The first book, if you were wondering, a little bit of trivia, 1996. That's when the first book of Game of Thrones hit the shelves, which is 3 years after I was born. So that seems crazy that this series is not finished because I am a 31-year-old man. People are joking that Half-Life 3 will come out before the next game, Winds of Winter. I don't know. I guess I suspect he won't finish them. I read it because I know they're good books. And when this one ends, I'm going to put it away on the shelf and I'm going to be like, the ending exists in my head. And I think that's okay, as long as I've gone into it with that sort of mentality. But what I am excited for is the new Game of Thrones RTS War for Westeros, which seems like kind of a reimagining of that old Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth game where like the units are kind of bigger. It's not like to scale and it's not supposed to be. You know, you have the dragons that are, 3 times the size as like the knights on horseback. And it's kind of this like arcadey, cool battle arena type feel to it that the Battle for Middle-earth game had as well. So I'm still hyped for that. I know that was announced earlier this year, and I haven't checked up on any news. I don't think there is any news for that game, but I'm pretty sure that game will come out before Winds of Winter. So at least I'll have something else. I do have another book lined up. Minnie Dalmacho, who used to be a caster on this podcast, and if you're listening, hopefully you're familiar with him. Great guy. He convinced me to pick up Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is about what if the Earth was visited by aliens and changed into like gladiatorial dungeon crawl from like a D&D game or like a tabletop RPG. And the main character, Carl, has to complete this dungeon with his ex-girlfriend's cat, which I think this hits me right on the target market. So I'm excited to dive into that and see what it's all about. If you're reading something out there that's like video game related or just fucking nerdy, let us know in Discord. I love to see what people are reading. We get a lot of what people are watching and what people are playing, but books are important too. So let us know. And now, guys, by the way, little bumper. What did you play this week, Bobby?
So this week I played Final Fantasy VI. This is a little confusing because this is actually Final Fantasy III on the Super Nintendo that came out in 1994. In Japan, they called it Final Fantasy VI. Out here, they called it Final Fantasy III. On Steam, they call it Final Fantasy VI. It's been remaked and demaked. Yeah.
You really made up for the quip with that one, dude.
That should have been the quip. Yeah. Yeah, so this game has an interesting history. So first of all, it's a JRPG, not my type of game. I've never played any other Final Fantasy games. I don't really care for the genre, yet Final Fantasy III on the Super Nintendo is like one of my all-time favorite games as a kid. Like, I absolutely loved it. No idea why I never played the other ones or really caught on, but every 5 years, I'd say, I go back and play this game. So they re-released it on Steam about 10 years ago, and they remastered it. And a lot of people did not like it for various reasons I'll point out. At the time, it didn't bother me much. Now it kind of does. But I guess maybe the feedback was so negative that they re-released it on Steam. In fact, if I look at the Steam page of my version, or actually there is no Steam page, they got rid of it. It redirects to the new version. But if I look at it, they call it Final Fantasy VI in parentheses old version online. So
okay.
Take that, old version.
But the ironic thing is that in this version, they changed the graphics. They smoothed them out, got rid of the pixels. People hated that. So in the pixelated remastered version, the one that you can currently buy for $18 on Steam, that looks a little more similar to the original one on the SNES. So, I mean, this brings up a topic that we've discussed plenty of times on the show, like what makes a good remake for a video game? How do you do it right? Like a reboot, a remaster, whatever. This Final Fantasy VI game, the old version that I'm talking about, is an example of what not to do, I think. They had some good things in it. So they improved upon the save system. Old games just have terrible I shouldn't say terrible, but punishing save systems that nobody has time for in modern day. So they improved on that a little. There were some slight UI improvements, like it's a little easier to get around the character sheets and the menus. I appreciate that. But other than that, all the other changes are just really bad. So there's a graphical change, which didn't bother me at first, but like for some reason now, 10 years later, it does, because I'm coming back to this. With a remake, you're trying to you're trying to reach two markets, right? The people that played the game back in the day and just want to relive it, and then the people that are playing it for the first time. And those are two very different audiences. So it's a tough task to remake a game. I am in the former camp where I played the game before, and I want to relive that experience. So yeah, the graphics being so different does kind of pull away. It
takes away
doesn't
from
sit
that
well
nostalgia a little bit, I'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. But the real problem for me was they had these pointless changes in this version of the game where they changed the name of almost every single item in the game and also the dialogue. And there's really no reason why they needed to do that. Like there would be a line from a character that says like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then like they change it to like, "Hi, how are you?" And it's just like, what was the point of that?
Was it? Did the original not have a good localization? And then
it was
fine. No, it was totally fine.
It sucked and it was fine and it was mine.
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like, all your base art belonged to us or anything like that. There wasn't anything lost in translation. It was totally fine. It was just, the new one is just different. So, and all the spells have different names. All the items have different names. And it's like, they don't make any sense. Like they aren't improved upon in any way. It's not like they were like somehow offensive or something and they needed to be changed. It was like, there's absolutely no reason to do this.
And that sounds like a ton of work too, to go and change all the dialogue and names in a game.
Yeah. So I'm just like totally confused as to why these decisions were made. Now the new version, I don't really want to spend another $18 to play this game and find out. I mean, I should just really fire it up on the emulator so I can have save states and everything. And that's the best save system you could have, really. It was just like click and instantly save the state. But yeah, man, I don't know. I am 3/4 of the way through this game. I want to finish it out. This is a long game too. It's like a 16, 20 hour game, maybe. Like it's a doozy, but, I want to see it through to the end because it's been a while since I've actually beat this. I'm telling you, like every 5 years I come back to it and I never finish it, but this time around I want to finish it.
Okay, and you have the secret old version that no one can purchase anymore.
Well, you can find it on emulator sites. It's not difficult to
Right.
do that. But yeah, on the Steam one, yeah, the old version, yeah, this like weird offshoot old version, yeah, that's apparently that is like a rare thing now.
Okay.
But as I was playing this game, something really weird happened. So I mentioned that they had changed the dialogue. There was a line of dialogue that just like I had to like double take and like rub my eyes and make sure I was reading it right. I was like, what is that? So there's a character in this game called Relm. She's 10 years old.
I don't like where this is going.
She paints. Yeah, it's going there. And there is another character in this game called Edgar. He's a bit of a Don Juan. He's a bit
that?
of a Lothario.
What's who are these people? Sorry, I don't know. A Don Juan? What the fuck is that? I have no idea.
Really? Oh, I don't know. How else would I explain this? He's a ladies' man.
A ladies' man. Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
I love,
so
I love
he's a
this
ladies'
new
man.
vocab.
And there's an interaction between these two characters that just like threw me for a loop. So the line specifically was, I'll read it here. Not even a lady yet. Here's hoping you're still around in 8 years, kid. And I was
Wow.
like, wait a minute,
Holy
time out.
fuck.
What's up?
What? Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude.
So I'm like scratching my head at that. I'm like, am I reading this right? And so immediately I'm like,
And this is on the remake?
This is on the weird version that I have. Yes, where
Right.
they changed all the dialogue. So I'm like, let's look this up on YouTube. I want to find the scene. What was the original one? So the original one, he says, "You've grown up entirely too fast. Lighten up, okay?" And I'm like, okay, that's totally
That's
different.
innocent and nice,
Yeah.
not
And so,
creepy.
yeah.
Oh, they
and
hired
so
the
I type
creepiest
in,
guy to redo all the text for this game. They're like, "Hey, can you work on can you work on these item strings?" And he's
You
like,
know what?
"I know what I want." Like, what? What the fuck? That's weird.
they really weren't getting the pedophilic subtext to this interaction between these two. We had to bump it up a notch in the remake. Yeah. So if you go on Google and you type in Final Fantasy VI Edgar, the second thing that comes up is a Reddit post that just says thoughts on that Edgar scene. And so I found that pretty quick. And yeah, this person lays it all out. They're like, what's up with this scene? And he lists all the different versions of dialogue from all the different versions of the game. Apparently there's more and it's been changed over and over.
Oh my
And,
God,
you know,
dude.
everybody kind of like said the same thing. It's like, yeah, that was super weird. It's an old game. Who knows? Like, what are you going to do? You know, like probably just something done just with poor judgment. But
The
yeah. so that
worst-
was-
I think the worst one is, that'd definitely be a crime. I better just forget about it. Like, what? Is that the original? Because that's the first one listed in the Reddit post.
That is not the one I saw in the original Super Nintendo game when I was watching the replay on YouTube. Maybe that's
Okay.
one from another version of that. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. And I never picked up on that when I was playing this game before. Like maybe the dialogue was different, or maybe, you know, I was young and I just didn't realize it, or, you know, maybe times were different back in the 90s, you know?
I mean, that's true. They were different back then.
Yeah. And in Japan, those crazy people. But
Yeah, these fucking that's well. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Bobby. That's so weird that they remade it in a worse, in a clearly more pedophilic way, like explicitly even.
It makes you wonder who was in charge of the remaster. or
Yeah,
the
I don't think you
remake.
went far enough into this, Bobby. Like, you need to go down
Was
this
the
rabbit hole. We need to hold this
director
to
of
the
the
bottom of
original
this.
game involved, and it's like George Lucas with Han shot first,
my God.
or
Oh, this
It's
is what I
like-
meant by this scene, guys. What the fuck? Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, man. So I don't know. This got me thinking, like, have I ever come across this in any other game? I can't think of another example where I've been playing a game and just been like, ooh, okay, yeah, that's not okay anymore. I'm sure it must have happened at some point, but I don't know. That happens all the time with movies, yet I struggle to think of an example. video
Serious
game.
Sam. I would say there's and maybe some Duke Nukem, like some of those older 90s shooters probably have things that I would say is probably not cool anymore.
It's
Yeah.
not dialogue, but when I first saw the new Cortana model for, I think it's Halo 4, and she's like wearing no clothes. I was like, wait, this. I mean, Cortana was always like a sexy AI bot, like when Halo first came out, like a nerd wet dream, basically. But like, they're putting the B in subtle here, like pretty fucking hard. With like, she's wearing like no clothes, and she's like extremely curved. And I'm just like, guys, what are we like? I don't know.
But it's more realistic because an AI wouldn't need clothes.
Yeah, fucking neckbeard energy on Halo 4. It seems pretty intense.
Well, you're right that like the objectification of women in video games, that's been a thing for a long time and like hotly debated too. I mean, I think this particularly like bordering on like some pedophilia stuff is like, I think we can all agree like that's super weird, but I don't know.
The weirdest part of that whole story is that it came from a remaster. Like someone took the time
2015
to like go in and purposefully change that line to that in the year of 2015. That's just nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that was an adventure.
So you have Final Fantasy 3/6/old version.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. This was
the
fascinating.
Perv edition.
The Perv edition. Jesus Christ. Okay, Taylor. What did you play this week?
Oh, man. Well, fortunately, way less salacious than that. I was playing Total War Warhammer 3, which is a mouthful to say.
Yeah. In the intro, I tripped over. I was like, Total War Warhammer.
There's the two wars. It should just be called Total Warhammer 3.
Yes.
That's what I call it. Which this is not a brand new game, and it's a game I've played before. But there is a newer faction called the Chaos Dwarves that got released, I think, last year as a DLC race edition. And I never played them before, so I got the DLC and fired up the game, and I put in like a ton of hours over the last 2 weeks into this, playing with these Chaos Dwarfs, and they are so much fun. With Warhammer 3, it's like, so you've got like a bunch of different factions in the game, and some of them were DLCs, and then some of them you have to get from owning the previous game, like Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2.
Which is so strange, and they all play so meaningfully different, which I found odd as a player of a lot of Total War games. I was like, oh, they don't even have like the same currency sometimes.
Yeah, well, and each race is different, even within the same game. Yeah, each race will have different currencies and different, like they're by far the most complex Total War games. And especially on the battle map, like the unit roster, like if you were to list every type of unit from all the factions in one list, it'd be insane versus Rome, where you've got like, okay, there's 3 types of spearmen, yeah
if that, and there's naked fanatics and they throw heads. That's like a weird special unit. I don't know, the weirdest one I could think of.
But the Chaos Dwarfs ended up being super fun. I think they're a little bit power crept because they're the latest faction. This happens in like every game. The new character comes out or the new whatever comes out, and it's always a little stronger.
Purposefully overtuned.
Yeah.
Maybe purposefully. Yeah.
But aside from them being strong, they have the most interesting economy in the game so far, with being like needing to balance essentially 4 different economic inputs. So you've got like money, which is something every faction has, but you also have labor, which it is just a euphemism for slaves, and then armaments and raw materials. So you use essentially like you can get a new like settlement. You capture a town, and when you capture it, you can either turn it into a strip mine or you can turn it into a factory. And so if you do the strip mine, you get the raw resources. And if you make a factory, you start churning out these armaments. And so you have to balance all 4 of these resources in order to keep your economy humming.
Mhm.
And I really enjoyed that kind of aspect because economy in Total War games has never been particularly interesting.
Usually pretty basic. Yeah. And
Yeah.
arcadey. Yeah.
So that was fun that they introduced that. And then they have a number of other like newer and unique mechanics that other races don't have. Like you've got caravans you can send out to do trading. And there is like this like Tower of Czars, or like the other Chaos Dwarf factions in the world like are competing diplomatically for seats in this like communal tower that gives you buffs.
Okay.
So you're in a bit of a race against the other Chaos Dwarf factions in the world if they survive. In one of my campaigns, the other two factions just immediately died to the orcs.
Nice.
So what I really enjoy about it, though, is like, so it's kind of twofold here. So like, I played Warhammer Fantasy Battles, which is what this is based on, like the
tabletop
Games
version.
Workshop tabletop game with the models that you put together and then fight battles with. And I played that a lot. I used to go to tournaments. My dad and I would travel to other states to go to tournaments for Warhammer. And Games Workshop ended up killing off Warhammer a number of years back for a different game. I won't get into it, but for a while there, Total War Warhammer was kind of like the closest thing you could get to being able to play Warhammer.
Right.
And the Chaos Dwarves were never an actual faction on the tabletop game. So every other faction that's been put into the game so far is like something I'm already familiar with from
right, and
back
probably
in my
has
day.
drawn inspiration from the tabletop version, or perhaps.
Oh yeah, a lot of them are just direct rips from the tabletop. Like Games Workshop has a ton of input on creative assemblies, what they're allowed to do. Like normally, Games Workshop is one of those where they just throw their license to whoever the heck wants it.
Yeah. Warhammer 40K banana or whatever, like whatever.
Yeah, there's like 17 mobile games.
Yeah,
but this one they have been like really involved in, and especially like with this Chaos Dwarf race, they had a lot of like, well, we have to be true to our lore, but also like we're thinking about bringing Warhammer back, which they since have, and so like we want it to align with like our product range and blah, 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 blah. But it was really cool for me to get to play these guys as a fan of the tabletop game. It's from my youth. And then getting to see them like realized in a way, because I had always hoped that they would get made while the tabletop game was going. I always wanted because they would pop up in lore snippets, and then in Blood Bowl they were a thing, or not Blood Bowl, Necromunda, I mean, which was like essentially super miniature Warhammer.
Okay.
I'm getting into like esoteric tabletop knowledge now. So
Necromunda? All I could think of was choking hazard for my baby. Extra tiny figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, I really had a lot of fun getting to like relive my Warhammer days, and also get to see this new faction, see how they played, and then the fact that it was also fun, like the way that Creative Assembly implemented them and gave them, this cool economy and these unique mechanics, and they have one of the most fun units in the game, which is blunderbusses. And there is something so satisfying about going into the real-time battle. You set these blunderbusses up on top of a hill, and then like one of the other like orcs or Skaven or some, the little rat guys or whatever are coming at you in a horde, and you've got this gun line of blunderbusses just kaboom, 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 and it because it does a knockback effect on the models too. So it's just it's so satisfying. I could just set up that battle and just play it over and over again. But yeah, so Total War Warhammer 3, if you're a fan of strategy games, check it out. I would say it's my favorite Total War game just because of how much variety is in it, how much replayability there is. Like before the Warhammer games, I would say maybe Medieval was my favorite.
Yeah.
But the Warhammer series is really good. My question though to you guys is like I touched on at the beginning, these the way that they've built off each other. So like in order to get the full Warhammer 3 experience, you need to own Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2. So like by owning Total Warhammer 1, that gives me the races that were in that game. And then by owning 2 gives me those races that were in that game to be able to be playable in 3. So, and then there's also DLCs on top of that you can buy to get like the Chaos Dwarfs. But I've never really seen a system like that before of like having to purchase games in that order, like to get the full experience. And I'm wondering if you guys like are familiar with any other games that do that, or like, do you think this is a good system?
I don't know if it is a good. So on one hand, it seems incredibly cool for owners of the first and second game that the third game comes with some of the experiences that they've had with the first and second game. Like they can pick the exact same nations, and I imagine they play pretty similarly as the first and second game. So it's like, oh, my Old Faithful is here. Like whatever, I can't name literally one race, specific
the Empire,
race.
the human
the Empire
faction
of Kiev. Is that?
There is Kislev.
Kislev. I knew it was inspired by Kiev. Okay, cool.
And all the races are like fantasy China is Cathay and fantasy Russia is Kislev.
But if I'm a new person to the genre, do I have to pick up Warhammer 1 and 2 for like $1 or $2 on like a key reseller, or like what's the play? Or can I just do the DLC and I don't actually have to purchase those games?
So they don't sell it as a DLC pack. You would have to buy those games to get those factions.
That's incredible.
You can buy 3 standalone. You just don't have the ability to play as those factions. But what is interesting is every faction you don't own and every DLC you don't own is still in the game, and the AI is playing as them. So you can still see, like, I'll fight. I don't own all the DLCs, so I'll fight against some other enemy from a DLC I don't own, and I get to see their units in battle to see what they look like. Which is
ingenious because it's a little taster. You're like, oh, maybe I do want to play.
Or like, these things destroyed me. Now I want to go destroy everyone with them.
Yeah. So in the old Total War games, when you defeated a nation, you would then have that nation as selectable from the beginning. So to start off as Rome, for example, you play as the Brudi, which are the northern, the Julii, which are the northern Italians. And then if you went into Gaul like Caesar and eliminated the Gaul, then you could start a new game and play as the Gaul. So there's always this like incentive to be the one to finish off another nation so you could play that nation. They've replaced that with card hold cash. I mean, that's the world we live in now. I guess that's fine. But I think I do miss the emphasis on dealing the finishing blow to like a mortal enemy and then starting the game as that enemy. And it's more like, I mean, I guess people play Total War Warhammer like this too, where they play every nation and they do like a run. I mean, I know Nick has like beat the game as every nation, and that's something that people do. But back in the day, if you had the fucking Seleucids unlocked from the start, you knew that you were playing Medieval 2 or Rome. Like, you've played that game a lot, and that was like an honor to be able to start as.
There is something cool about that. I do. Yeah, I do agree with you, and that was a cool feature, and it added to the replayability quite a bit too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but having the goal. One thing Total War games have always struggled with is having the campaign goal. Like, sometimes it's like, okay, paint the map, or like they'll have like a long campaign victory or a short campaign victory. As Rome, you need to capture X settlements. or
There's
whatever.
only so many things you can do in an RTS game. I ran into that with
He's calling them RTS.
Warcraft. Are we not talking about?
So it is an RTS game, but it's also not an art. The Total War games are unique in
You
that
can't call them that, Bobby.
there
not
is
you.
a grand. So there's two layers to the game. There's the grand strategy layer, which is like the world map that has provinces and cities that you build up.
Which is a
and
turn-based
you move-
strategy.
It's turn-based, and you move your armies around. Turn-based on the map, and like have conflicts and besiege cities and etc. And that's like a grand strategy style game. And then within that, when you go into battle, you go into RTS mode, where there are all the units that are in your army are now controllable in real time as you fight each other.
Fight a real battle.
So you have like your
But
from Rome, you have
So
your
it's like the other
phalanxes
Total War
and-
games. For some reason, I thought Warhammer. I've never played any of the Warhammer games, but I played some Warhammer game, and it was an RTS game. So I must be thinking of the wrong
Dawn
one,
of
but
War probably is.
Yeah,
That's the
that must be
RTS Warhammer
Okay.
game.
yeah. But still, with those types of games, I mean, it's kind of hard to mix up the play, like the gameplay. Like, what can you really do? I mean, it's a 4X game essentially, right? You got those 4 things to do.
I would say in Warhammer 3, they've done some interesting things. Like one of the factions is a dwarf guy, and in the lore, he's kind of like Thor and Oakenshield in a way. So his quest, when you start out with just him as an army, you don't own any cities, and you're on a quest to go reclaim Karok 8 Peaks, which is his ancestral home that got taken over by the orcs. And so you start out weak, and like all your recruitment costs extra and blah, 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 until you go reclaim that. So you kind of have to like trek across the continent, fighting battles along the way to go retake. And there's this big quest battle at the end. And it's like, yeah, that's a really cool campaign idea.
Yeah. And Bobby, we played Shogun 2, which is the first Total War game to really like level up what you're doing in the campaign, because you're running against the shogunate, and there's 2 systems. There's like the European guys with guns, and then there's the samurai who are following the old way, and there's like a parliament-ish of these 2 sides, and whatever side you pick, you want to win. Then when you win, all the other nations come at you in like this end game AI stomp. And that, I think, is an attempt to make something interesting happen during the campaign. I mean, they had like scripted events before, but nothing really player-led like exactly like that.
I miss the ninjas from Shogun
You missed
and the little cutscenes that they would do.
Yeah. Dude, that's such a great game. I recently started a Medieval 2 Venetian run, which is like a kryptonite of, I guess, kind of like Bobby's Final Fantasy. Every 5 years, I'll load that up and do a very hard campaign, see how far I can get with Venice, which is, I think, one of the more difficult factions to last on very hard because they have like spread out holdings. And those little cutscenes that pop up totally make it. Like, my spy was discovered,
Yeah.
and then they'll play like
They got rid of them in the Warhammer series, and it just was so sad that they.
Yeah.
I get it, because you need to make animations for like 1,000 different models.
Oh my
but,
God, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
I've always loved, but the ninja ones were always especially funny.
Yes. Yeah, and they made them purposefully comical, but like it was like, yeah. Yeah. Oh, now I want to go play Medieval 2 right at this second, but I can't, because I'm going to talk about Let Them Trade. What is it? It's a live action single player Catan board, just with a little bit more of a complicated resource tree. So instead of just clay, your clay makes pottery, and then your pottery makes something else. And you're building up the supply chain as you would in any of these other like logistic games like Factorio. Except it's kind of like a chill city builder auto battler where you don't control, and I'm coining this term, I see you raise an eyebrow. It's fine, it's new. You don't control the movement of trade from town to town. You just control the buildings in the town. And the towns themselves, based on the income of their trade, will buy goods that they need to expand on their own. So you're just giving them the blueprints. I guess it's kind of more like a God game where you're giving them like the blueprints for success and watching them mind their own business at, like, in my case, 3 times speed.
So you're letting them trade.
By the way, this game has trade. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but we are letting them trade. Clever name. There's this little point on the Steam page where it's like, tinker at your own pace. And I'm like, oh, nice, like a chill game. I can just watch my little people expand and it'll be so fun. Except that's not how I have known to play it, I guess. I'm not chill anymore in my own age. I'm on like 3 times speed and it's not fast enough. I'm like, can you guys just buy the fucking wood so I could build the next level building? Like, can you hurry it up here? Like, what's the hold up on this wood situation? I want to rapidly expand my kingdom. I want to get to the end of the logistics supply chain so I can, I don't know, like wear the crown on my head, I suppose, or beat the game. And I find myself getting very frustrated not being able to control the specific movement of the towns and just watching them trade. The whole premise of the game, I suppose, has learned to frustrate me instead of something that attracts me. And I was thinking this before the podcast. I was playing a bit and I was like, is this a sign of do I need to calm down just as a person? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to turn the dial down from 10 to 5? Like, is this a me problem or is this the game's problem? And the game has an 83% positive rating on Steam, so I think it resonates with a lot of people. But if I go looking into those negative reviews, there are people who share my sentiment of the game doesn't move fast enough, it's too chill, and sometimes the AI purchases don't seem to make sense. Like, you need 20 potatoes. Why are you stocking up on all this stone? What are you doing with this stone? There's nothing in this settlement that needs stone. Are you going to trade it later? I don't know what the AI is thinking, but sometimes I see these trade carts move and I'm like, that's going the wrong. You guys did the wrong thing.
So is there like a global market?
Essentially, yeah.
Is what's going on here?
Yeah, you'll build out these towns like on a Catan board where the tiles turn over on these hexagonal pieces and it'll reveal like, wood tile, fish, stone. And then with those base resources, you're building up the supply chain based on the trading of the automatic trading that these cities do with each other. And so I think it's a great premise for a game. It's even, if you zoom out, you are on a table in a living room and there's like a cat in the background and there's like sunlight coming through. There's chips on the table. So they're committed to the board game aesthetic. And yeah, it's the best. One of the best parts is zooming out and looking at that cat. I mean, like,
is it orange?
It's not orange. I believe the cat is black and white, but I want it to be orange to spite Bobby. I wish it was orange. So I think this is a good like entry to supply train games, but it made me yearn for something a bit more complicated. But I'm in like a rough spot here because when I played Factorio, the movement of resources, like the actual conveyor belts and stuff, I found myself not that interested in. Obviously, that's one of the main parts of that game. In Cities Skylines, in Cities Skylines 2, I should say, you can build up these specific like agricultural and industrial zones that require different resources from each other, but you can decide what they purchase, how often they purchase it, and there's just a little bit more control over it. I found that to be a super satisfying medium ground where I don't have to like make a complicated in-between network for my resources to move other than like a highway, I suppose, in City Skylines 2, and that can just let them do their own thing. But I'm not frustrated at like the factory because it won't buy chairs, you know?
Have you ever played Northgard?
I have not played Northgard, no.
Okay, I was going to ask if it's similar at all to Northgard, which I have played, but maybe add that to your list. I think you'd like it.
Maybe I will. Yeah, I should have wrote this down, but there was a game I played maybe 2 years ago now that I recently checked up on early access, which was a fantasy logistics game. And I feel like with sci-fi logistics games, then comes the conveyor belts, but fantasy logistic games, These are just horses moving automatically.
Wagon trains.
Wagon trains, which makes it a bit more satisfying for me. And this game was a city builder that had these super complex end resource states that you had to build up out of all these basic materials. And it was super fun. And basically, this game made me want to play that game, which the name escapes me. So this is helpful for everyone listening to this right now. Anyways, my discussion point is, have you guys played Catan?
Yes.
Both nods in affirmative.
I've played Settlers of Catan and I enjoyed it the first time I played it when I was learning to play it. But then every other game I played after that, I have not liked it. It's so strange. I
always go for Longest Road.
Longest road boy? I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to file that away in the palace.
And I even recently played there's another version of Catan where it's dice. And you have these little sheets of paper that you write down on. And it's not a board game.
They take the board out of Catan.
Yeah, there's no tiles. It's just like you roll the dice to see what resources you get. And then you have a piece of paper that you like are drawing your own stuff on, and the other person is doing the same. And then at the end, you total up the points. It's a lot. It's faster and it's mobile.
Okay, so my family tradition at Christmas time is to play a game of Catan, and we have all the expansion packs. So I think last year we played Seafarers. So this year we might play Knights and Cities. But we try to keep it fresh because, like Bobby, I can't really stand the basic game of Catan anymore. It's just too simple. And not that there isn't strategy to that simplicity, but I've watched a lot of Catan content of people being like, this is the optimal, like professional Catan players who take it seriously, no expansion packs, just the base game. And they're very good at optimizing the game. And it's almost like chess. And the reason why I ask this question is because when I play Catan with my family, we usually get into like a role play situation where my wife, Rianne, will be like, I'm not trading my last wool because it's keeping me and my people warm, and my mom will look at my younger sister and be like, whatever trade you want, I'm giving it to you because I love you. And that'll frustrate everyone else at the table. Like, we're not playing the game optimally. And that's why I think it's special and fun.
You're my favorite child. So just have whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you're just playing the game with strangers, more often than not, it's like a little bit more of a competitive experience. The role plays out of it. And I think it's just a little bit too basic for me to latch on to.
I love role playing in board games. If it's one that I've played before, Splendor is one. And when I play Splendor, I self-impose a rule where I don't use the gold like reserve coins.
Really? You're above that, clearly.
I'm above it. Yeah. Exactly.
Being the Duke.
Duke
do these coins have
cards.
my visage on the back of it? I will not use them. These are the golden coins of a foreign kingdom. Yeah. So let them trade. A decent medieval logistics game, borrowing a lot from Catan or the general theme of Catan.
Looking at the Steam page, it looks just like Catan.
Yes, yeah. They're very faithful to that Catan-ness, but not fast enough for me. Maybe need a 5-speed. Maybe need a 5-speed for the game because 3-speed isn't doing it.
And you need a button to prod the cities. Like, hey, buy my wood.
Yeah. Like a devil pitchfork. Hey. What do you guys want to play? So, Taylor, I mean, this seems like a big category. You want to play all of these?
Yeah. So, I am going to start an investigation into Gacha games, which I know is a massive genre. There are hundreds and hundreds of Gacha games out there. I am entirely unfamiliar with them. I know the names of some of the popular ones like Genshin Impact, for like, I think everyone knows that name. But like recently I discovered one. I was just browsing Steam and it was called like Uma Musume, and it's about racing horses, except the racing horses are anime girls.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
I was like, what is this? What is happening? Why is this a game? I downloaded it to look at it, and it was like the production value in this game is out of this world. And like then they're singing like J-pop songs after the race, and I'm like, I need to figure out what is going on in this.
I need to
world.
go deeper. Deeper.
That's what I'm going to be looking into over the next week or two. Are these Gacha games? I'm going to be downloading a bunch of different ones, and my goal is to not spend money on them. I know that they're money sink games, but I've heard that generally they're pretty chill for the first week or two you play them. And hopefully some of them will be on mobile too, so I can get as many of these games in as possible.
I love this idea. You're gacha spelunking into like these different money grabbing caves. And I hope you survive, dude.
If any of our community members out there are into gacha games and have a recommendation of like, okay, well, if you're going to do one, you have to do this one. Let me know. Like, hit me up on Discord or send us an email or something, and tell me which ones are like you cannot miss.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, Bobby. What are you wanting to play?
So recently they released Grounded 2. I had no idea this game was coming out. I didn't play the first one, although it looked... It's a crafting survival game, which is not my thing, but it was basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Which is your thing.
The first one. Yeah, right. Which is totally my jam.
Did you see that one, Honey, I Microwaved the Kids? I didn't. Sorry. Anyways, keep going.
Oh my God. I think I've said this before on the podcast, but my favorite part about like a video game sometimes is when they shrink you down and you're like tiny in a normal sized world. Yeah. So that's basically what this is. Stuck in the backyard, co-op crafting survival. So if there were a crafting survival game that I enjoyed, this might be it. It is going to be free on Xbox Game Pass. Well, not free, but you got to pay for the Game Pass. And whenever they come out with a sequel like this, my number one question is, what are they doing different? Is it just more of the same? So this one, they're adding mounts. They've got something called an Omni tool, which replaces all the other tools. And I like that. I like when you simplify and streamline. So instead of carrying your axe, your shovel, your whatever, you just have one tool. It does it all. Nice and simple. I guess there's been some combat changes too. The enemies can block, so maybe the combat's a little more dynamic and engaging. But everybody on Steam, or a lot of people on Steam, are complaining about the performance on this. I talked earlier in the show about just things not being optimized well and running well, despite, not being like graphically that intense. They still run very poorly and cause your Steam Deck to just turn off. This might be one of those games. Apparently the performance is pretty bad on the PC. Like, people are having some major issues. Doesn't matter what hardware you're running.
And this is full release or early access.
It's early access.
Okay, so they got
there's a little bit of an excuse there, I think, for early access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is also Obsidian Entertainment. They know what they're doing over there. I feel like that's a pretty good development studio. I don't know how this stuff works, but I feel like
they just put out Avowed, and that ran great and was beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? I think there's other developers involved in this as well, but I am mildly interested in this. I might pick up Game Pass just to check it out. They do say
hell is frozen over. We're right. Yeah. This is what we get.
Crafting survival. I do play these from time to time. Hey, I got into Enshrouded for a little while. But they do specifically say on the Steam page you can play the single player or multiplayer. And the hardest part about crafting survival for me is just finding that community, finding those people to play with, which I know we've got plenty of people on the Discord, but scheduling's an issue. And then it's just like, it's always hard to sync up. So I don't know. This one's in the maybe pile, possibly a little bit more for me. But it sounds like you might want to wait just a little bit longer for this one to
let it cook.
Yeah, let it cook.
Turn that microwave to 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Interesting that both games you've talked about this week are genres that you don't care for.
Yeah. Really interesting, Bobby. I'm scared about what hell freezing over means for you. Well, who are you? Are you going to become?
Well, I feel like the last couple of months I have been gaming differently. I've been playing a lot of single player campaigns, and I never do that. Like I beat Halo 2. I beat RoboCop Rogue City.
Nice.
I don't know, other games.
It's this three-caster format. Fourth example. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the game I would like to play fits maybe well into what you were talking about, Bobby, because I've accepted an invite to go to, what's this called? Distant Worlds, music from Final Fantasy, which is a live orchestra of the Final Fantasy music. The only problem is I've never played one Final Fantasy game. My only prior knowledge of a Final Fantasy game, other than, I don't know, like little tidbits I might see on social media, is I found a video on my friend's older brother computer called Best Tifa Titty Fucks. And I watched that. And I've also played Cloud, which I'm pretty sure is from Final Fantasy, on Super Smash Bros. So I'm going into this. I don't know. I literally do not know what is the Final Fantasy. Like, I don't know what's going on in this world.
Exposure to it was the movie Spirits Within, which
Spirits Within, right?
To my understanding, doesn't have anything to do with the games. So
okay,
it had Alec
this is
Baldwin
scary. So I'm like the Final Fantasy expert on this episode.
Yes, and I listened to a ton of video game music, so I said yes to this orchestra because I don't know how often I'm going to be able to go to like a local live video game orchestra in Calgary. Like, I feel like that is maybe a unique opportunity that I should always say yes to. But the other part is I've listened to a lot of video game music of games that I haven't played, and it just kind of rings a little bit hollow, you know? There's something about being reminded of where you were or how you were feeling when you listen to the music that is separate from the composition of that music, like how well it's technically composed and how well the artistry is.
Right.
You know,
well,
if
you
I
need the
hear the
memory
Doom
attached.
soundtrack, exactly. I'm in my friend's basement and we're playing, you know, the classic Doom. He's the Brown character.
Going on your older brother's computer looking for Best Tifa Titty Fucks.
But it didn't come with the Final Fantasy music, so I'm lost, right? So anyways, all of this to say, I need to play a Final Fantasy game, and I want to play a Final Fantasy game because the orchestra is here at the end of September. So I have a couple months to really get into one, and I was hoping to ask you guys, I'm looking for a good story. I want to have my emotions played with a little bit. I also want like the tactical turn-based bit of the game is interesting to me. Do you have a title from the Final Fantasies that you would recommend as like a starter or something that aligns with my interests?
I've always heard 7 is the best one.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent. And it's been remade, and they changed a lot with the remake. I remember Emilio played that and talked a lot about it when it came out. He really enjoyed it. So did a lot of people. And I was surprised at some of the changes they made. Like, they really changed a lot of the core parts of the game. So I don't know. I've always thought about going back to Final Fantasy VII and playing that because, yeah, everyone has said that's the best one. But I've always gotten like 15 minutes into it and just totally lost interest. So I don't know. Maybe try the remake. I will say this though: Final Fantasy does have really good music. And you're right that video game music especially is like, it's hard to enjoy if you don't have a like a memory of it or a relationship with it if you didn't play the video game. But with Final Fantasy VI, there is a part in that game, 6/3. There's a part in that game where one of the characters has to pretend to be an opera singer or like be in this big theatrical play, and she sings this song in it. And of course, on the Super Nintendo, it's all like chiptune, and it sounds cool, but it's, you know, not very distinct. And I heard that performed live at one of these video game music performances where they're just playing all sorts of different types of or music from different video games. And to hear it like actually sang and performed, full orchestra, vocals, everything, it was completely different. And it sounded so good. You can probably still find that on YouTube somewhere, but Yeah, and I imagine that got better in the newer Final Fantasies too. I mean, as the fidelity got better in newer systems.
Once they moved to CDs and they could actually put audio tracks into the game, like actual music.
It got more immersive, but there's still, you listen to the old like Doom music and you're like, this rocks. Like,
yeah.
It's like, but fuck, it goes hard, bro. Like it's the limitations made it interesting in
There's
a satisfying
definitely
way.
something about that. And one of my favorite Steam tags is the like great soundtrack. That's one that I'll click on and just browse through what games people are saying have great soundtracks, because I love good music in a game.
Christian, you're right though. It really, you can find old video game soundtracks that are just like incredible. So a couple weeks ago, Emilio, former podcaster on the show, texted me this like, I don't know, some social media thing. It was like a clip, like a TikTok or something, of some guy commenting on the Dr. Mario Chill music theme. Just look that up on YouTube, Dr. Mario Chill. When you played Dr. Mario, there were two soundtracks you could choose between while you were playing. One was chill, and I can't remember what the other one was. And like, I totally know that song, but like, I listened back to it and this guy commenting on it, and it's just like, this song, like, there's no reason this song needed to be this good.
Right.
It was like one of two soundtrack options in that game.
It's also amazing just how good of music they were able to make on those old consoles with like chiptune technology. Like such memorable pieces that you can still like go back to and be like, whoa, like this is actually a banger. Or
I think video game music, I know, Bobby, sometimes you cynically say the first thing I did is turn off the music in this game, but I think most people, and probably you too, can agree that no matter what genres of video game we play, we are all joined by an appreciation of the music that brings us back to that time. And when we went to that live show in LA with the video game music, that's like one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. Like, to hear the Hades soundtrack played live was like so fucking cool. Like, I can't even, it's not like a live band, which can be equally cool, especially if you have like strong emotional ties with the music. It's just a little different because hundreds and hundreds of hours in something like Civ, and then you see it performed, or Hades or whatever. It's connecting to you on another level, I think. And
there's something too about like full orchestra or symphony and being
like
in a
fully
music
built
hall.
out. Yes. Yeah. I'm super excited, even though I haven't played a Final Fantasy game, to go to this concert. We have pretty good seats. I'll report back with how it was. And yeah, I'm excited to tackle a Final Fantasy game here. Looks like I'm doing 7. Yeah, I think 7's certainly not 6-3 pedo.
The remake or the OG.
Yeah, I think I'll do a remake. I don't know if I fear if I do the OG, things will be, I won't enjoy it because I don't have the nostalgia attached to it, and it might not keep up with the time. Maybe it does, by the way. I've never played any of these games. So what is our community up to? So first of all, thank you to all our patrons who support us with real cold hard dollar bills. Especially executive producer Truthbringer. Thanks, dude. We appreciate you. Shout you out every episode. And special thanks to a new patron, Lars Magne Sum. I think I'm pronouncing that right because it seems like a Norwegian name because the O has a cross through it, like a do not cross.
Yeah.
And so
and
I
Lars.
don't know what sounds. Yeah, and Lars also dead giveaway. I don't know what sound the O with the cross. Maybe it's like a silent letter. I don't even want to speculate. Yeah. But thank you, dude. And now, Bobby, listener questions and corrections.
All right. First question from Warconius. He says, this question is in tribute to the late, great Ozzy Osbourne. Which game has Ozzy actually appeared in? He's got some hints here, but let's see if we can get it without the hints. And I might have an answer to this one. This is a guess because I have not played the game, but wasn't he in Brutal Legend?
That was what I was going to say. Brutal Legend.
I
He
think
didn't
didn't put the answer here, so we're just going to have to guess.
I think he was in either Rock Band or Guitar Hero.
Yeah, well, his music definitely was.
Music, but I don't know if he was a character that showed up in those.
I thought that was a
games.
pretty funny joke, but I guess not. You guys are like, oh, literally? Yeah. I mean, with a deadpan, it's hard to tell. Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, maybe Warconius will give us the answer for next week.
Brutal Legend makes sense.
I'm going to go with Brutal Legend. He also asks, which video game commercial was he famously in? And this, I'm pretty confident I know.
I want to say like Doom or something bloody and gory. I don't know. Metal House Singer. No, that's probably too recent.
I would guess it was something with a massive marketing budget, like a Halo game or something like that. Gears of
and
War.
that ties into my answer here. So back at the peak of World of Warcraft, I want to say like late 2000s, they were running this ad campaign where they would have celebrities talk about like, I'm a level 13 troll or something like that. They had Mr. T. I can't remember who else, but I want to say they had Ozzy Osbourne in one of those commercials. So my guess
is
is
a warlock, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. My guess is going to be World of Warcraft
Death
there.
I think that's a good guess.
07, 08.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Super Bowl budget commercial, like everyone, mass appeal.
Yeah, I got to look up those commercials again, see if I'm right. Next question from Time Killer B. Can you think of any biking simulator games with a full bike setup? It's hard to bike in the winter here, so I thought a video game would be cool.
I think I'm the resident biker in this podcasting association, and I've never even tried any bike. Oh, there was one on the Nintendo GameCube, BMX. Oh, wait, no. That was an ATV and motocross game. No, I've never played a biking game.
I've played a game where you ride a bike primarily, but it didn't have anything to do with setting up the bike. The bike was just a vehicle in which you are on, but not like what I'm reading this question and I'm thinking like with full bike setup, like
Like Peloton
customizing
or something.
your
Sounds like it needs a
gear.
Peloton.
Oh, I thought he meant like a physical, like he wants to exercise because it's hard to bike in the winter, and he wants like a full
I was thinking
rig.
like I thought bike hobby. I could be wrong, but like bike hobbyists get really into like, oh well, I got the frame from this company and like the carbon fiber wheels and
Totally,
I've got the clip-on pedals, and that's what I was thinking when he said bike setup.
Well, yeah, maybe totally. I think in the Nintendo Wii had like in Mario Party, you had to do this in like a mini game with the Wii remote. I'm rubbing my hands in the air as if I was pedaling a bike.
He looks like
if
he's
my hands
punching
were
a
feet.
speed bag.
Pop, 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 pop. Yeah. But you raise an interesting point. Maybe there should be biking games with the full bike setup. I mean, there's driving games. I guess that's not really too physical, but
I mean, we've got games about being a stray cat. There should surely be a game about riding a bike.
I feel like even in the arcade, there must have been some sort of bike game there.
There were motorcycle games. I remember those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are...
Time Killer, put a fat wheel on your bike. They're like $40 to $50. And get out there in the winter, dude. Don't let Mother Nature stop you from one cold climate person to another. I think he's in Minnesota, if I remember right, or maybe Michigan. Those both sound like colder American places. Biking in the winter is so freeing because the streets are generally where you bike, like the bike lanes are generally dead. There's snow on everything, so you have an even surface.
Oh, and the crunch sound of the snow as you pedal over, as you like your wheels roll over it is so satisfying.
And your breath coming through your mask or whatever you have to protect your face as you're biking. I think it's better than going for a run in the winter, going for a bike ride. Just my 2 cents, okay?
All right, last question from Jay BeckQuest. What is Nick up to? Is he coming back to the podcast soon?
I sent Nick a message with this to get it from the source. He says he's switching to night shifts, and then once that switch happens, he would like to kind of appear sporadically on the podcast again. And then once Vivian, his daughter, starts going to school full time, he wants to be a regular caster again. So this seems kind of like a little bit of a longer timeline, but for sure, Nick hasn't gone anywhere.
He just has a busy life right now. He's got a family and new job and all that stuff. So he's not disappeared. It's not like we hate Nick now and don't want him back. It's we still chat with him.
Related to Emilio allowed on the show.
Yeah. The whole family's out.
The whole family is gone. No, yeah. And I hope Nick is coming back soon. You know, Taylor, when you were talking with Warhammer, I wish I was replaced with Nick because I feel like you guys would have had just
I think we much better it out.
Yeah. Maybe actually it's good. Maybe it would have gone too deep. You guys would have been like the Nurgle on the gurgle. I don't know. I assume that's something in Warhammer.
Nurgle does make gurgle sounds.
Wonderful. Let's not get into that. Taylor, what do we plug in this week?
So I don't know if for any of our listeners out there who are not on Discord, check it out because Discord has added Wordle integration. You can now play the New York Times game Wordle directly in Discord. And we have a channel for that. And there's like 6 or 7 people playing Wordle every single day on Discord right now. And it's a lot of fun, especially because it shows you how many guesses it took everyone else as well. So you can kind of compare and contrast yourself to everyone else who's playing. And it even shows you when they're playing live and you can watch them as they make their guesses if you have way too much free time like I do. Come check out our Discord. You can get there from our website, dealgaming.net. There's a link to the invite there. And come play Wordle with us.
Yes. It's the favorite part of my morning, I would say. I'll get the coffee and I'll start the Wordle. I think I'm on a 22-day streak just through the DLG Discord. Like Wordle through the DLG Discord.
I play it in the morning while I'm having a coffee and a cigarette.
Nice.
I take a European breakfast.
Nice little brain warm up. Ooh, okay. My name is Christian. Joining us today was Taylor and Bobby. And next episode, we're going to be talking about a stray little kitty cat. And in a future episode, we're going to see the results of Taylor's Gacha investigation. Won't be next episode, but the one after that. Closing us out, speaking about a soundtrack that brings you back to it, by the way, I can literally, once the song is playing, I'm imagining my opening moves in Age of Empires 3 playing as Russia, where you get 3 villagers on wood, 2 on iron. Yeah. Anyways, closing us out is Felonious Junk from Age of Empires 3 soundtrack, everyone. Goodbye.